Lately, I have noticed that there is a renewed interest in onion juice application for hair loss, and I want to talk about a study that was done a while back ago, and that it did show promising results in terms of onion juice application for hair loss. And I also want to talk about limitations to the study, and I want to talk about my personal experience of application of onion juice myself. So let's dive into it. So this study that I have in front of me, it is one of the most kind of known studies about the juice benefits for hair loss, and it was done back in 2002. So it's more than 2 decades ago. And this one was kind of smaller study. So what happened here is that there was 23 participants who did apply onion juice for 6 weeks, twice a day, and then there was a smaller group of patients who applied just top water treatment instead. And what happened is that those who did apply onion juice for twice a day for 6 weeks, they actually experienced significant amount of hair regrowth. Right? So we can see here there's 20 patients, or 86.9% of patients actually experience hair regrowth when they have applied onion juice. And there was only 2 patients in control group, or 13% of them, who had improved hair after application of tap water. And the thing with this study is that it was done on people who are suffering alopecia areata, right? And this is different type of hair loss than androgenetic alopecia. On alopecia areata, it is a hair loss that is more immune system related. So what happens is the immune system attacks the hair follicles and makes them to fall out. And if you're not familiar with this kind of hair loss, it basically causes this kind of pattern, right? So there's a patchy hair loss that affects different areas that I was having here and makes them to fall out. And if you look at the couple of pictures here, just to show you a bit more, so you can see it has like a round pattern, and the skin that is beneath there is very fine without any vellus here, anything. There's no hair activity at all, like all hair falls out. And this is basically something that is very different from androgenetic alopecia, right? So if you look at androgenetic alopecia, you can see that the pattern of it is different, right? So what happens in case of androgenetic alopecia is that there is miniaturizations that occurs. Like, so first of all, let's say one has a specific pattern to androgenetic alopecia, that the hair, for example, moves backwards in temples, for example, or hairline, or coronary starts thin out, but it happens over time, right? And it causes miniaturization, and there is often still small values here that is left when one is having androgenetic alopecia. But that's not the case for someone who is suffering with alopecia areata. So that's the main difference between those two conditions. And sometimes one can be misdiagnosed, right? So sometimes if one has, for example, early stages of alopecia areata or diffused alopecia areata, then one can be misdiagnosed with androgenetic alopecia, and then one does the treatment for androgenetic alopecia and doesn't see any results, and hair loss, for example, continues because the cause of it is different. So now let's talk about onion juice application or practical application. If you are someone who is considering doing it, regardless if you have androgenetic alopecia or other type of alopecia areata, for example. And when it comes to practical approach, so according to this study, it was done twice a day, right? So they did apply onion juice application twice a day for 2 months. And this already tells us if someone wants to apply onion juice, then this is the approach one can do, right? And again, if you are applying it and you don't see results after applying onion juice for 2 months, then it is likely not working in your case, right? It is that simple. And in terms of application time, they didn't mention anything about it, but I would assume that it is 30-minute application, right? Twice a day to 30 minutes. And the onion juice that they were using is this study was basically squeezed out from onions itself, right? So basically they crushed the onions or made a onion smoothie and then squeezed out the juice itself and applied on the scalp. So this is basically approach they did in the study. And my personal experience with onion juice application is that for me, it actually did not work at all, right? So what happened is that in 2007, I actually did apply onion juice myself on the scalp, and I did it for 6 months, right? So I actually wasted 6 months of my time to apply onion juice on my scalp. And in my case, what happened is that it did cause a lot more problems on my scalp. It also did cause a lot more shedding on my scalp, and I didn't see any results at all. And one of the drawbacks of onion juice application was that it did cause a lot of odor on my scalp. And that odor, I would say, sit on my scalp after I stopped with onion juice application for another 3 months or so. So my experience was that it was not working in my case. But again, my scalp always have been very sensitive, right? So as you know, if you have been following my channel, you know my history of scalp inflammatory problems. And my hair loss itself was androgenetic alopecia, right? So my scalp was sensitive, and I had androgenetic alopecia. And in my case, onion juice application did not give any effect, and I would say it actually worsened my scalp environment when I was applying it. So that is my experience of doing it. To summarize it, like if you are someone who is suffering alopecia areata, then onion juice application is definitely a valid option to look into, and according to the study, it actually can be highly effective to address this kind of problem. But if you are someone with androgenetic alopecia or scalp inflammatory problems, then you have to be much more mindful, especially with scalp inflammatory problem, because scalp inflammation can make things much worse because your skin barrier is also already broken, and then application of something that is potentially irritating your skin can make things even worse, right? So you have to be mindful about it. So for alopecia areata, it can be a valid option, but for androgenetic alopecia, if there is no inflammation, then it is potentially option to try it by following the approach that has been done in the study, basically by twice a day application and also with a time frame of 2 months. And for you guys who are struggling with the hair loss, or you are not seeing results from treatment, or you want to improve the results you are having, then I would suggest getting my guide to address the hair loss problem, right? This is a guide that I use myself to recover my own hair, and I call it Rapid Reformer Workbook. And you can find the guide for the hair loss you are having below this video. There's a link for it. And Workbook will help you to address the problem with the hair loss with specific steps that is logically structured to address each problem that may occur with the hair loss, right? In terms of nutritional factors, in terms of your hair growth cycle, in terms of DHT sensitivity, inflammatory problems, scalp environment, and growth stimulation itself. So definitely check it out because it can be a key to solve your hair loss problem. Thanks for watching, see you guys, and see you next time.